Today we're going to be reviewing set 71755, Temple of the Endless Sea. It has 1,060 pieces, and in the United States it retails for $100. But is it worth it? Let's find out. Alright, so the first build of the set is this manta right here, which kind of gave me some trouble. It was pretty complex. No, I'm joking, it's technically not a build, it's only one piece, but I'm pointing it out right away because it's something that I really love about the set. It's just an unnecessary detail that adds just so much atmosphere to the set. Next up, our first real build is going to be Kai's little submersible. It's a pretty basic little submersible build. It's identical to all the other ones we got this wave. The only difference is the main color here and the weapons mounted on the front. Kai has some golden machetes, which came out with Island Wave, and they're pretty cool. One major complaint that I have about the vehicle, though, is the gap between the cockpit and the rest of the submersible. Granted, Kai does have his scuba suit on, so he is going to be safe underwater, but still something that, as a kid, I would have really frowned upon. Another thing that I don't really like is this secondary color here. It just doesn't match in with the gold, in my opinion, and I really wish LEGO had replaced it with more red, and also replaced this banner with maybe this one, just to keep this ugly gap out of here. I'm not really sure why they didn't do that in the first place, but yeah, on the back here you can see the propeller is actually one of those pieces from the early Ninjago spinners. It's a fun little throwback. It's really cool, but yeah, on the whole, I do love this vehicle. It's something that goes really well as a nice little side vehicle to set, and they're fun to get with this way. Right, and next up we have this little side build. I figured it would be easier to review these smaller sections individually and then take a look at how the set stacks up as a whole. It'll be easier to show off basically all the features. So here we have the most simple addition to Kalmar's underwater palace, and that is just this little simple arch with an oyster design here. There's also this fun little play feature on the back where if you pull this lever back, it opens up the oyster's mouth to reveal a little pearl inside. It's pretty big for a pearl, but I guess if the ninja ever crash the Hydro Bounty, they can always just harvest this thing to maybe buy another one or pay for repairs. It's pretty basic, but it does add some nice play value to the set, and also I guess, it could also capture some unsuspecting characters who get too close here. Maybe not the most effective trap, but, it's pretty cool regardless. Then we have this charming little side build here, which is actually Glutinus's lab in the interior. You can see we have some bottles and flasks, and it looks like Glutinus is in the midst of some experiments. You can see there's also a nice little detailed rug here for Glutinus, although I'm not sure why he would have one since he's underwater, and that carpet is not going to last very long. But whatever, it's a cool piece, and it's great if you want to add it to your other builds. Alright, and this section is actually the prison tower of the city. You can see we have a little mounted spring-loaded shooter up on the top here. I mean, it's sturdy enough that it doesn't flop all over the place, but it's also maneuverable enough that you could position it and aim it wherever you want to. And of course, you have the spring-loaded shooter on the front, just push down and, well, maybe you might need to hold on to the launcher a little bit, but yeah, just push down and away it goes. Hopefully I can find that. Yeah, so there's that, and then if we turn around to the back, we can see there's some nice detailing here. I really love the pink lanterns. There's the prison door, which you can open, toss a ninja in, and close, and also if you want to break them out, all you need to do is just push this little lever forwards and boom, off it goes. One thing that I really love about this though is that the roof is removable and there's a hidden little compartment up here where it looks like maybe Kalmar has been storing the treasures that he's been plundering from sunken vessels. Or maybe it's just Bentho's tie to the upper world, I don't know. Kalmar does seem like he'd be more likely to be hoarding weapons, so it's probably his stash up here. Better close it up before he finds out we were up here and, throws us into this exploding dungeon. Next up, we have Wojira's little holding cell. It's a basic little platform with some pillars, hopefully chaining Wojira down. Unfortunately, though, there is a little knob on her back, which if you turn, sends these chains flying off, and she's free to go out and ravage Ninjago. And you can easily remove Wojira from her platform here. You just pull her out, and there you go. Overall, though, I do love the design on Wojira here. She looks like some giant primordial sea serpent, and she has nice menacing fins sticking out all over the place, and she looks like she is ready for some chomping action. Her head is pretty similar to the Overlord dragons, but it does feel a lot more substantial. There are some Technic mechanisms locking her head into place, and in order to open her mouth, you just pull open on the levers here, and her mouth snaps open and closed. Again, feels a lot more sturdy than the Overlord dragon, and while the unfortunate thing is that you can't pose her with her mouth open, it's a lot stronger of a connection, and I feel like it's a plus. One downside though, and that is that she doesn't really have space on her head to attach all these to attach both the storm and sea amulets, water amulets, whatever that second amulet was called. I guess you could add some clips here and that would work, but it would just look kind of awkward and ungainly. So I guess attaching one to her torso and maybe working in a connection point on the back of her neck might be the best way to go for that. But while we're here, I do feel like it's worth talking about the storm amulet. I do love this. It's this new translucent blue satin color. I wouldn't say it's an improvement to the one we got in the Winter Wave with the island sets, but it feels like a good addition to it. It's nice, colorful, plus it's just a great collectible in general. As for Wojira, yeah, I feel like she's pretty solidly designed. I have gotten a couple of requests to do some upgrades on her. I'm not entirely sure what I would upgrade. If there's anything you want to see me change on her, just let me know and maybe I'll make a separate video for that. There is one thing that I really don't like about this design though, and it's kind of minor, but it's still something that I hate, and that is that if you pull open the fins on her side here, there are these orange ice cream pieces tucked inside. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be some sort of growth or some sort of eggs, but I don't know, it's just weird either way, and I'm not really sure why the designers felt the need to put those in there, but yeah, just a weird little side note that I'm not a huge fan of. And the last part of the build is the main temple, and this is definitely my favorite part of the set. In fact, the set could have been just this alone and I still would have bought it. Well, maybe not for $100, but if this was all that the temple consisted of, I still would have loved it because it's a great build even on its own. So taking a look at the main entrance here, there are a ton of fun features right off the bat, like the treasure, which seems to be just cascading out the open door here, no doubt stolen from many shipwrecks. There are also some fun Indiana Jones style trap features, which I really love. Right outside the main entrance here, there are some launching spear points. There's a little lever on the back that you can press to activate those. I was kind of disappointed because when I first saw this feature, I thought the spears actually flew out like the actual Indiana Jones trap that we got in the set from 2008, but unfortunately not. Of course, you could modify it to do that. You just have to disconnect these from the platform. They probably wouldn't fly out very far, but it would be a fun little thing to do. There's also a disc launcher mounted underneath the stand for the Storm Amulet. I'm sure you already know how these things work. You just push down on that and they go launching out. And then while we're back here, we can take a look at this version of the Storm Amulet, and this one is the same as the one from the Winter Wave. The major difference is that it's actually satin purple, and if you compare it to the original, the one with satin, obviously it looks just a little bit lighter. So basically you could pretend that one of these is the fake amulet. Another fun detail that I really loved here was this little bust. I'm not really sure who it's supposed to represent or why it's in here, but it does seem pretty cool. It kind of seems like something that went down on one of the ships from the 1800s or early 1900s or something. Really glad we got it in here. It's a nice, fun little detail. So the second level is nothing too interesting, at least from the outside. The inside is where all the fun features are located. And you can see here we have a scroll, which looks like it might be Kalmar's plans for world domination. And then on the other side here, you can see we have, it looks like maybe a little more of Glutinous' science experiments, also maybe some eggs harvested from Wojira. It's kind of disturbing to think about, so I'm just going to pretend they're something else, anything else. And then you can see we have more of the pink lanterns up here, which again go pretty well actually with the teal and the black. And then just a little fish mounted up here. I'm not really sure why there's a fish mounted up there, but I'm not complaining. It's a fun little detail. And here we have all the main builds connected together. This was the configuration that's shown on the front of the box, but the cool thing about this modular system is that you can actually swap around different components and rearrange them in whichever order you'd like. You could maybe have more builds toward the center so that it has a sort of cascading effect, or even put more of the builds on one side than on the other. Just another fun part of the set, and I guess it helps keep the set feeling fresh and new. Plus you don't even have to connect the sections. You could maybe even have one sitting off to the back here. I really wish this is something that LEGO had done with the Ice Emperor's Palace back in 2019. It just would have been a whole lot more fun than that weird play feature that we got that was supposed to integrate the spinners, but didn't really work very well, in my opinion. Alright, so this set comes with 7 minifigures, 2 of which are exclusive to the set. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. I am going to start with Benthamar here because he is my favorite, at least in this set. He has the recolored Joker hair, which I love. He has a happy expression on one side of his face, and on the other side he has a battle-ready, angry expression. Plus he has a great sand blue color, which I did not realize at first. I thought he was gray, which is why my custom was so off. Well, live and learn, I guess. glass. Next up, we have Glutinous, who's the other exclusive figure to this set. He has some pretty cool features all around, like his buildable legs here, and also this little clear container underneath. I guess that's not really an oxygen tank on the back, but I'm not really sure what it exactly is. It looks pretty cool though. And he also has his magnifying glass. The one thing that is disappointing about his character is the fact that he doesn't have a mechanical arm holding that magnifying glass up, but that shouldn't be too difficult to fix. I may do a video at some point showing an upgrade for him. Next up, we have two of what are colloquially known as Hydro Whippers. I think the actual correct term is Moray Guards. They're great recolors of the Pyro Whippers from summer 2019. They're menacing, they're cool, and they have a fantastic color scheme. Next up, we have Kai, who's one of the summer ninja here. I really wasn't impressed with the scuba suits when I first saw them, but I have to say, having them in hand, they've won me over. Granted, the helmets are just a little bit awkward. I feel like they really unfortunately don't go with many other accessories, and they don't really look good without the oxygen tanks. But the oxygen tanks have grown on me a lot. I really wasn't a fan of the rubbery components at first, but the fact that you can slot a sword into place here, and the fact that they do lock into place with this additional hip belt piece is a really big plus in my opinion, and it's won me over. One other cool feature, which I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, is the fact that this can actually hold a stud, so you could actually connect something in there. Maybe if you're using this as like some sort of spacesuit, you could attach like one of those round plates to make it kind of seem like a thruster brick. And here's what Kai would look like without that scuba suit, without the scuba air tank attachment. Not very solid in my opinion, plus this doesn't work with the standard ninja half masks or really those oxygen masks that came out with the superheroes line, so that's a little unfortunate in my opinion, but enough rambling. It's not the best ninja suits we've ever gotten, but they're actually pretty solid, and I'd say having it in hand, I'm really glad that LEGO made them. So next up, we have Prince Kalmar, and this minifigure is hideously amazing. I say hideous because his overall design looks like some kind of nightmare, but it suits his character pretty well, I would say. And overall, it is a solid design, alien and nightmarish though it is. And lastly, we have Spinjitzu Burst Nia, which is the coolest version of Nia that we have ever gotten. Well, okay, fine. Maybe with the exception of the Samurai X Nia that came in that one battle pack. But other than that, this is definitely the coolest version of Nia. I mean, she has this cool translucent hairpiece with a headband. She has this cool face, which really reminded me of Pixel at first, and I guess a lot of people, it reminded a lot of people of Pixel, but unfortunately, it is this aqua color, so you wouldn't be able to use that on your Pixel custom, so yeah. I really love Nia's torso and leg design as well. It's really very reminiscent of Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, or maybe a watery version of that. And then Nia also has this back attachment with some water elements and some blue power bursts to take out Prince Kalmar and his mighty cohort. There's also a recolored version of the stand that first came out with the Nirmari minifigure from last summer. Really love it, and I'm really glad that LEGO is still using it for other characters as well. Yeah, overall, really love it, and it's definitely the best version of Nia that we've gotten. And that brings us to the box, which normally I ignore because I don't really care very much for the boxes. They're there to house the set and I guess basically advertise it. And this one does the job pretty well, I would say. There's a lot of action going on, and there are a couple of the more exclusive minifigures highlighted, and overall, as a kid, it definitely would have sold me on the set. And then looking at the back here, you can see this is basically the back of the set with some of the features shown off in more detail. Again, pretty cool, really love it. Not much more to say about it beyond that, other than, yeah, it does what it's supposed to. It highlights the features, looks pretty cool, and, you know, gives you some idea of what the set is actually like. Overall, pretty great design for as far as box art goes. Alright, that brings us to our final thoughts. Should you get this set or not? And unlike the Legacy Ultrasonic Raider or Kai's Fire Dragon, I have no hesitations here. Absolutely you should. Obviously, the set is going to be just a little bit more pricier than either of those two options, but it has great builds, great minifigures, and all around it's a great set. So if you're going to get any Ninjago set this summer, I'd say either this one or the Hydra Bounty, but the Hydra Bounty is the subject for another review. So yeah, anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know how I did in the comments section below. If, well, I was going to say if you want more things reviewed, let me know, but I only have one more set to review at this point, and we'll be getting to that pretty soon. Let me know what custom builds you want to see me do, or let me know what upgrades you want to see on Wojira, but in the meantime, subscribe, like, comment, share, do all that other good stuff, and I will see you next time.